All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to Unify's webinar on the keys to converting Oracle Forms applications to Java. This is your host, Matt Brunquell, and I also have with me today Halid Beg, who will be doing the demo portion, and I'll introduce him in a little bit. So the objective for today's webinar is to provide you with information on converting Oracle Forms applications into Java. And we'll start out with an introduction that includes an overview of Unify CipherSoft and then the key focus areas for Oracle Forms customers on conversion projects. We'll also provide an overview of the conversion process just to provide some context going into the demo. And we'll follow the demo so you can see how easy it can be to migrate and deploy an Oracle Forms application into Java, into a Java environment. And this will be followed by a Q&A session. So, CipherSoft is a part of Unify Corporation, a U.S.-based public company with over 30 years of experience in database development tools and migration. CipherSoft has an established and very successful practice for modernizing Oracle Forms applications, and we're a member of the Oracle Modernization Alliance, or OMA. For those of you that don't know, OMA is an Oracle initiative to help customers modernize their applications and infrastructure. And CipherSoft's involvement in the OMA is all about modernizing Oracle Forms. So at a high level, these are the keys to an Oracle Forms conversion project to Java. A migrated application should be as intuitive, whether it's for the original developers to maintain in the new environment or whether it's for developers who have no experience in the original application. And we'll go into more on that in the next slide. But practically speaking, this means your path to Java should provide a one-to-one conversion in the code as much as possible. And when you look at that first bullet, retaining the business logic from the Oracle Forms application is extremely important. Our experience over the years is that there is a very, very high percentage of Oracle Forms conversion that can be automated, and we've built this into our tool, which we'll show you in the demo portion. And you'll see this in the demo, but just to give you an idea of the business logic and constructs that are part of the automated conversion, because we always get asked these questions. This includes LOVs, the list of values, triggers, host commands, text IO commands, the master detail relationships, menus, reference forms, even lower level constructs like the record locking. And you'll get a flavor for this in the demo. In addition, the impact on the end users of the application need to be considered as well in a conversion project. Reproducing all of that functionality of the application is not enough. It needs to behave similarly over in the new environment in order to avoid retraining on the application. And if your applications have a lot of users, this is actually quite a big factor. And this similar behavior of the application can minimize the risk of user frustration and really speed the adoption of the migrated application as well. And this really lowers the risk of a migration project of an Oracle Forms app over to Java. And we see this time and time again where the customer's objective is to get this over into Java for a couple reasons, but what they're looking to do is get it over there as quickly as possible without disrupting the end users. And then once they have it over in that Java infrastructure and environment and running for the users, then they can look at, okay, how do we extend this, modernize it? What are the things that we can do to this moving forward in a more manageable fashion? So back to that first thought that I presented on the last slide. This graphic illustrates some of the keys to creating a path for the developers involved in a migration project, whether they're the original Forms developers or the Java developers. And this is something I want you to really pay attention to in the demo, because in addition to producing clean Java code, keeping the file structure of the components and objects in the IDE organized much as they were in Oracle Forms provides a reference point both for the original Forms developers and for Java developers that they can follow. So for Oracle Forms developers, what this does is it really eases the learning curve in Java. And for Java developers who are accustomed to low-level programming, this also provides a higher-level view of a database-driven business application that they now have to manage. So what you'll see in the demo when Khalid does it, when we open up the project, and I think he's going to use JDeveloper as the Java IDE, but you can use any Java IDE, you'll see that the folders of the projects are pretty much the same, except when you navigate through there, when you open up one of those folders, it's Java code now. And then even within that Java code, you'll see a lot of the component names and trigger names now in Java. So someone who's familiar with the application is going to be able to navigate through the code much as they did before and say, okay, I know where this code segment is in the application. They're going to be able to go and find that pretty easily, except now when they open it, they're looking at Java. Now just a little bit on the conversion process before we go into the demo. For a conversion process, these are really the 7 high-level steps that you're going to walk through. And in the case of our solution, we offer it both as a tool that can be licensed with training and support, or we offer it as a service as well. And in either case, these are the steps that you would go through. And I would say that in almost any conversion, this is a high-level process that you're going to go through. And we just like to show this so that you can see what the different steps are. And in this case, it's breaking it up into deliverables so that in a project you can you have checkpoints along the way and have a way to test it. And as you can see, really the conversion itself in an automated conversion is really just in the initial steps. A lot of it, just like in any project, is the testing and then the resolution of issues that come out of the testing as well. And then there's performance tuning as well. And I mention this because almost everyone is curious about, can you get the same performance that you got in the Oracle Forms application over in Java? And the short answer to that is, in general, yes. And all the projects that we've been involved in or done with the tool, they're able to get acceptable performance of the application over in the Java environment. And it does involve some tuning because you are moving it to a new environment. And what we typically recommend is that you do that in the latter part of the process, if you will, because as you're still going through the conversion and resolving issues and all of that, there may be things you're doing, and so you want to have as much of that done as possible before you start focusing on the performance tuning. But definitely you'll get there with the performance. And we actually provide within our tool some performance monitoring utilities to really help isolate where performance bottlenecks might be. It'll help identify if there's any actually in the Java code, but also it'll help pinpoint sometimes, as any of you know who've done performance tuning, that it can be in different layers or areas like the database, if there's indexes missing, or in caching and things like that. It'll help figure out where it is very quickly. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go into the demo. And just a few things or key points for you to keep in mind during the demonstration. We're going to convert the Oracle Summit application. And this is an application that Oracle uses in their training sessions and for demo purposes as well. And we have, with our relationship with Oracle, we have the rights to use it for the conversion demos here. It's not necessarily as complex as some of your applications probably are, but it does have a lot of the things you would see in a complex application. And what I mean by that is it has menus, libraries, it has business logic, in addition to the forms with multiple canvases and tabs and master detail. So you'll see all those types of things that you would see in your more complex application. It has a lot of the constructs, if you will. It's just not going to be as large. And we'll go ahead and run that through, and you'll see that this is a full conversion. So it's converting, not just the front end or interface. It's converting the business logic, the libraries, everything. Note that you can actually convert with this tool just different pieces. You could choose just to do the libraries, or just to do the forms, or and so forth, or just do the business logic. But we're going to do a full conversion. And the other thing that we'll do is we'll show you a like-for-like in a browser. So we'll show you a like-for-like conversion, and the GUI option we're going to show you is in a browser. So that that's typically what people want to see. But you do have different presentation layer options. In the case we're showing you, it's going to be a plug-in in the browser. It's very lightweight. It's what a lot of customers end up going with. But we also have the option to convert the presentation layer into Oracle's ADF framework. It actually will use ADF components as one of the GUI options. And I don't think we'll show that today, but if any of you have particular interest in that ADF presentation layer, just let us know during the Q&A session, and we can talk a little bit more about that, or arrange a specific demo for that if it makes sense. But in that case, it's the same conversion of the business logic and everything else. It's just the presentation layer is what's changing. And with that, what I'm going to do is turn this over to Khalid, who will do the demo. And just for those of you who don't know Khalid, it's Khalid Beg, and he is the director of our technical services for our Oracle Form solutions, both for Oracle Form conversions projects like what we're demoing today, as well as Oracle Forms upgrades, because we also do upgrades of Oracle Forms applications. And he brings a lot of experience to the table behind Oracle Forms. He's actually done Oracle Forms development in his past lives, so he knows Oracle Forms. And then he's been involved in these projects, both upgrade projects and conversion projects. So he definitely understands what the customer requirements are out there, and working through these. So it's a great opportunity to have him demoing the product for us today. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Khalid. I just have to pass the ball, if you will, here on WebEx over to him, so that he can be the presenter. And I may need to have our WebEx administrator do it. I'm not sure if I have the permissions to do it or not here. Oh, there we go. I think you have it now, Khalid. I'll let you know when we see your screen. Okay, I see your screen, but I don't hear you, Khalid. I don't know if we need to unmute you. Still not hearing you, Khalid. I don't know. Maybe you're one of the dial-in callers, because I don't see a phone next to your icon. Maybe you could let us know if you're a certain call-in user, so we can get your audio unmuted.
And also the runtime, like how the form was before and how it was after the conversion. And also I will go through the conversion Java classes, like what we have done from PL SQL to Java, and how it looks in Java once it is converted. So I will start with just showing this forms, like submit application, very quickly. It has 3 forms, and as Matt was saying, it is not a big application. It doesn't have a lot of PL SQL logic behind it, but it has all the components that, or not all the components, almost all the components that you might see in Oracle Form or in an Oracle Form application. For example, the tree structure, this tree is actually master for this block, and this block is master of this block. This is a tree, this is a tabular block, and these are the tabs canvases basically. So once you go inside, then there is another form which we call from form to form. So I will show that in our application, Composer CipherSoft application, we can do the same functionality, like going from one form to another form and then passing all the global variables from one form to another form of parameters and doing execute queries and all those things. And then third form is obviously a small, very big form, and then we go from there. So these are the three forms that we are going to be converting today. One of the form is using customized menu. Rest of the forms are using default Oracle menus, and also one of the form are using images and all those things. So I think there is one form that are using two libraries in there. So let me show you the conversion tool after this one. This is our CipherSoft conversion tool, and basically on the surface you will see there are not too many options. There are not two input-output fields are. We have tried to make the conversion tool as easy as possible at the front. But on the back end, it is doing a lot of things. Basically, it is trying to find where are the canvases, where are the presentation layer, like list of values, canvases, and then it is also trying to find where are the business logics, like in triggers, program units, or libraries, or anywhere else, and it tries to convert them into Java basically. So if I go in here. The processes that you run in the conversion tool are basically four simple processes, and one is converting the Oracle form itself, which is like your FMB files if you know your Oracle forms. The second one is to convert the libraries, which are PLL files, and third is to convert the MMBs, which are your menu files. And the fourth one, which you are seeing here, like module template generation, is to create, after converting into Java, what we do is we run this fourth option to create the WAR files. Basically, that WAR file can be deployed on any application server of your choice, like we have tried on Tomcat, WebSphere, WebLogic, Oracle Application Server, JBoss, and other application servers. So the last option is just a template to create the WAR file. So you can use that template and then deploy it and then use it for more conversion if you are moving forward with more form conversions. The order of running, except for the last one, the three form module, library database, and then menu module conversion can run in any order. But we normally recommend that they should be running you should be running library conversion first, then menu conversion, and then form conversion. But you can run in any order. They are not dependent on each other in any way. The second option you will see is like this package name basically. Like this package name is used when the conversion is done on each Java class. We are adding the first line as package line, like com.sportscode.summit. So if your company name is like ABC, you can change this sports code to ABC and application from Summit to HR or AP or whatever your application is called. So it will create the proper package line when the Java code is created. The third, as Matt said, we normally go with plugin and swing application, or we can go with ADF option. The process is for conversion is same except for choosing an option, and then Java classes that are generated in the back end from the business logic, like PL SQL libraries and triggers and program units, are generated the same. The only thing that will change by choosing a different option would be the presentation layer itself. Like either you will get a plugin presentation layer, which is XML version, or you will get the ADF JSF presentation layer, which is basically JSPF files. Like if you see the input folder, like you define your input folders, where would be your modules would be, and the second would be output folder, where output file would go, like Java converted code as well as XML. There is a database connection, and sometime I was asked like why we use the database connection, why would not convert without database connection. Basically, we are not doing anything on the database, we are not writing anything on the database, we are only using database for read-only purposes. What read-only purpose is? Why do we need for that purpose? Like for example, if you know the PL SQL, sometime you define a variable that depends on a table column. Like you can say, like okay, ABC variable is either character or a string or basically number, or you can define on a table column, and then it goes like that. So we have to go on the database to find what the column type is, either it is number, date, or varchar, and then according to that we create the Java code, either a string, integer, or date double format basically. So that's the only reason we do that. So what I'm going to do is start doing the conversion. As I said, like the first thing I would do is convert the library. That's my preferred approach. And then once I do the library, then I select the files, both library files, and then it is saying file open, which files to convert. You can do one by one, or you can say like convert both the files. And once the conversion is done, then it will show you a log file. I will go on the log file a little bit once I'm done with the form. It's very easy log file. I will just say a few words about log file. What we are doing after every process, either form, menu, or library conversion, we create this log file showing what is being converted and what has not been converted. Like this Summit application we have converted so many times, so you will not see any warnings or something like that. But if you are using something like go to statement in your PL SQL, then you would be seeing a warning here that will be saying that we have found a go to statement in this procedure in this form. And then we normally comment that go to statement out, and we give the warning so you can go back and analyze that go to statement and see how we can convert that go to statement. Basically, there is no one-to-one relationship in Java for goto. Goto is only like an unconditional branching, and no other language provides that unconditional branching. So you have to change it to if, then, while, or for loops, basically. And this log file also being kept for every day. Like if I convert this log file, I convert some forms today, then I will have a log file for today. If I convert something tomorrow, I will have a log file for tomorrow. So down the road in 2-3 months time, if you want to see for due diligence purposes that what you had done like 2 months back, then you can go and check that log file, and it will tell you, okay, what you converted on that particular day and what happened, what warnings you received, and what was the processes, either they were successful or unsuccessful. So that's the purpose for log file we create. The next thing I'm going to do is going into the menu module conversion, and since it has only one menu and the menu has a presentation, like when I was in the library conversion, you see that the presentation layer option went away because library is purely business logic, basically PL SQL statements, nothing to show on the screen. So when I go in the menu module, that thing appear like either you are converting the menu in JSF or in swing XML format. I'm going to select the menu from here, which is called mSubmit, and the same thing, I'm going to press the submit. It is a small application, so normally, like even if the form is about, or the menu is about 50,000 lines of code, over processes normally takes about like maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes or at the most 5 minutes going through those 50,000 lines of code and generating the presentation layer as well as the business logic Java classes. One thing I would like to say here, what the conversion is doing when we are doing when we were doing the library, there was nothing to do except converting the PL SQL. So it is a simple, straightforward one process. But when we are converting the menus or forms, the conversion tool does 2 or 3 different passes. The first pass it does is look what are the presentation layer. In the menu option, obviously menu items are the presentation. So what it does, it extracts all those menu items and then create the XML files. And if there are any logic behind the menu items, obviously there would be, because when you select a menu item, either you open, you run a report, you open another form, you do some processes, you commit something. Those processes are all like business logic. So that is in PL SQL. So that PL SQL is converted into Java classes. So basically, when menus are converted or forms are converted, there are two different things are done. One is to create XML files or ADF JSP files for presentation layer, and the second piece, it creates the Java classes from the PL SQL logic. So once menu is done, again it produces a log file. The next step I'm going to do is convert the form. In conversion, the form, you can do individual form conversion. Like if you only want to convert the canvases separately, you can do it. But I don't know what you are going to do separately. So normally you convert forms, PL SQL, and then blocks, and then canvases. Or you can select the main option, which is form conversion, and again select the presentation layer correctly, and then select the forms. Like there are three forms, as I said: customer, orders, and pick forms. So I'm gonna put it on the right side and say conversion, and it will do. Again, the forms are moderate or medium sort of forms, but they convert quickly. And once the conversion is done, again the log file. In the forms conversion, the log file has a little bit more detail than menus and libraries, because it has we are converting the blocks into entity bean sort of DTM files, like data model files. The presentation layer goes as the JLS XML file, and then the form conversion itself, the PL SQL, goes as Java. You can actually convert the CSS file and other things. So it converts all three forms. It produces all the three forms successful completion time. As I said, like three options are independent of each other, but this option, last option, is dependent on all three options. You have to be done three options if they are applicable. Once they are done, then you create this WAR file. So I'm gonna select this WAR file, and it will give you a template WAR file that you can use for deployment purposes. And for installation of conversion tool, it is as easy as extracting a zip file on your C drive, basically. Like there is no install shield, there is nothing that we are doing on Windows system folders or anything like that. We create a folder, everything is in there, and the only prerequisite you need a JDK for that purpose. So once that is JDK is there, you extract the zip file which we normally ship for conversion tool. You extract it, and you are in business. Basically, there are few configuration parameters you have to change according to where you have your FMBs and what is the database link and all those things. And other than that, you are done basically. So once the template is done, the next process is to compile the converted source code and deploy the converted source code. For this purpose, the compilation and deployment is already done, and deployment is done on a Tomcat application server. So I've already started Tomcat application server and started the application to run. I'm going to show you before and after application. On the left side, you will see the Forms application, which is running under Oracle Form Runtime. And on the right side, you are seeing the application running under Composer CipherSoft. And that is running as a plugin XML version. And now people say, what is the difference between plugin XML and ADF JSF? Basically, there are a few trade-offs. One basic trade-off is that when you are using ADF JSF, you are using Oracle libraries. Obviously, there would be a licensing involved in there. For plugin XML, you need a JDK and a free Tomcat application server. And then if you want, you have your own application server, you can use WebSphere or WebLogic or Oracle application server. So you would see that the look and feel and all those things should be almost the same. Obviously, the Java components are a little bit different than Oracle runtime component. Like what I mean here is like on here you don't see this folder sign, and then this folder sign can be customized to show anything else if you want to. If you have a company logo, a small one, you can use that by replacing that with that. Like if I change this one, as I said, this is the master of this detail and this is the master of this detail. So if I change this one, you will see that this changes this and this automatically changes, because what we are doing on the change of this one, we are going in this block and doing an execute query, which is retrieving the data from the database for this item on the tree. And then we are going on this detail block and doing the same thing, executing a query for this master, and then going from there. The triggers firing sequences are exactly the same as Oracle firing sequences, because that is very important, because if the triggers are not fired in the same sequences that Oracle Forms fires, then obviously your logic will not perform in the same sequence and will cause the different results. This is the most important part of the conversion tool. When we were creating that, we had to make sure that the triggers are fired in the same sequences that Oracle Form was firing. Like when I'm saying, like what I mean, like there is a when list change trigger. When I change the list, then it changes this tree structure. When I change it to sales rep order, it changes. And if I click this one, for example, it brings all the 4 detail records on this side. And if I click this one, it will change right at the below. And then addresses is there. Billing is there. There is a list of value on this one. The list of value is doing exactly the same thing. It's a thread that is running to create this list of value. You can do the find and you can do all those searches as you normally do. Like this arrow has now in the new release has been removed basically to make a space here, and we are doing the same searching as Oracle Form. The comments, we have a text area. You like the same thing in here. You have a text area in here. You can use that. And then billing, like if I go in the billing, the same thing. You have a drop down and all those things. So if I go in customer sales and then select this one and go in here, you will see the same results in both. They are coming from both same databases. So I will go back in customer. It will change the order. I will select the Unisport. I will select the Unisport here. And then to go to the next form, I double click, which is an order form. The same thing. We have already, when double click, a mouse double click trigger, that will execute and then open the next form. And it opens the next form. Again, the look and feel is the same as radio buttons are there, components, check boxes, drop down, and all those things. Like if I go in stock, for example, there is an MDI window that pop up. So MDI window is right here like this. So you can use MDI window, you can use content canvases, you can use stack canvases. Like this is a content canvas, this is image on it, image off. Like help is a content canvas basically. Oh, sorry, stack canvas. Until you exit out from there, you cannot do anything on the previous canvas. So you exit out from here and then it goes back there. So I'm gonna go with the third form, which is your pick form. And it takes a little bit because it has some. So these are the basic 3 forms that we are working with, and then it comes up here, and then you can see images, you can see these cases, and all those things are there basically. Buttons are there, and images can be covered, and all those things can be covered. I'm going to exit out from here. The same message appears. And then next step, what I'm going to do after showing this thing, I'm going to show you how the things are deployed. For that purpose, I'm going to use Oracle Forms Builder. At the same time, I will be starting this JDeveloper. You can use any IDE as Matt mentioned. But we normally use JDeveloper internally, and now the new version that we are using is 10G. But since this demo is set up for me on 10, the new version is 11G, and then this demo is set up on 10G, so I'm still using the older version. So if I go on this folder list, for example, you would see that the same thing as I was saying, the package name. The package name is COM, SportsCo, and Summit. And for libraries and menu, we create different folder. This package name basically come right here on this Java code. If you see at the top, this is where it comes. Now if I go in libraries, for example, you will see two more folders, each representing the library name. So we converted two libraries. One was calendar, the other was pick list. So if I go in the calendar, you will see that the calendar, there is a folder, there is a Java class called calendar lib, and that contains these lines. So libraries are simple libraries where we are using the menu is the same thing. If I open the menu here, let me open the menu very quickly, so we can make a. So if I go in the menu, like if you see the menu has like the top like these options are these main options: main menu, file menu, edit menu. As Matt was saying, like when we are converting, we are doing one-to-one conversion and keeping the same file names, the item names, block names, and trigger names. We are keeping all the same name, except for doing the Javaizing the name. Like we take the underscore and dashes out and then use those names. So if it is an edit menu, you can see there is an edit menu, there is a file menu, and if I go in the file menu, for example, if I open this file menu here also, the item, you will see that there is a save here. And if this save, if I go in this save, what this save is doing, it is only doing do commit form. So if I go in my save, then it is doing exactly the same thing. If I show it to you here, on the right side, it is exactly doing the do commit form. Again, the same program unit names and then same arguments. So you are using do commit form, and it is exactly doing the committing at this time. When you press the save button on the menu, this is what it is going to do. So once the menu is done, I'm going to go in the form side basically. And if I'll show you the forms, you will see that forms contains the blocks. So there are like 5 blocks in here, like these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. The same thing we have done. The customer is the main folder, which is represent the form name. The block represents the folders in over Java side, and each block. And then under this customer folder, there is a file called customers.java, which is the same name as form.java. And in every place you will notice the same thing. If I open this block, for example, this block folder, I will see that there is a Java class with block folder. This one. If I open an item, there will be an item name.java class. What we are using why we are using these 3 different files, and why do we need that? The purpose is that if you know Oracle Forms, the triggers are fired in a hierarchy. For example, if there is a trigger at the key next item trigger at item level, then it fires that, and then it doesn't go at the block level to see if there is there. And if it is not, then it goes at the block level and look for that trigger. And then if it is not there, it goes at the form level. The same thing we have done for this purpose here. So what is this main customer.java class contain? Let me show it to you. What does it contain? Basically, it contains the alerts, because they are form level components. So there are 2 alerts, like one is called delete alert. If I see the trigger, you can see that the alert name is delete alert. And then what is it? It is in caution. What are the buttons? There are 2 buttons. What is the default button? Button 1 is the default. And then it can go to the next one basically, and it goes like that. The next one that we keep in this Java class, which is main Java class, is form level triggers. So if I go a little bit down, you will see that there is a preform on this side. Again, the same coding, the same naming convention like preform. And if I go in preform, what it is doing this default global ID. If I go to the when form instance, the same thing, when form instance, new form instance, that fires when basically you are entering into the form. And if you see here, we are setting the Windows property. We are calling a refresh tree country, which is like a program unit. And then we have a go block going to a block which is called navigator. After it finishes with this program unit, there is a go block, and then set value double. It is setting the value double as 1. for the view control values. And if I go further down, there are program units, and one of the ones we were looking is refresh country. So if I go and refresh tree country, so it will show this. I haven't logged in, so it is giving these errors, but ignore those errors. So if I go and refresh tree countries, it should be down right here. So if you see the Java code, it should be 1-to-1 Java code. So we are using like a record group, dynamically creating the record groups and all those things, and a list of values and other things. So basically, this is the structure we go with PL SQL, and then again the next thing is your other structure is like what is the program unit IDs and all those things. So if I open any of these ones, I can go in as customer. I can go in as customer here, as customer. You will see these are the folders representing each item. So items are represented at this one, and then there is this one which is a block name.java, that is basically to contain all the form level triggers. And item name.java classes will have the item level triggers. And again, like if someone wants the Java code for the Summit application, I think, I'm not sure, Matt will let you know if you need NDA to sign, but we normally can ship the Java code, and then you can download this Summit forms, and you can see how the Summit form is converted into Java and what are the one-to-one relation. Basically, when I was showing you a code which was saying go block on at the item level, when new form instance, when I was showing you a code called go block, where is this go block coming and what does it do? It exactly does the same thing as Oracle form, like it is navigating from one block to another block. But where is this code defined? That code is defined in the libraries that we have written, like Composer CipherSoft libraries, and these are attached in each Java class. And the sources for these libraries and these classes would be available on purchasing of the licenses. Again, I'm just jumping in Matt's shoes, but Matt will discuss this further. That ends my demo, and I will basically hand over. I can actually take questions now before I hand over to Matt.
Actually, you'll hand it over to me now, and then we'll read the.
Okay,
I'll read the questions out, and then depending on what they are, I'll answer or you'll answer. So
okay. So, let me
great.
Give you the...
Well, great demo, Khalid. What we'll do now is we will open it up for Q&A. And in fact, there was one question at the beginning of the demo, but unfortunately, I guess the way we were running it, I couldn't respond. And so what we'll do is give you a chance to post your questions. The best way to do it is to use the Q&A button. That's the button with the question mark. There's also a chat, but we have a lot of people on today, and it'll just make it easier for Khalid and I to go to the one panel. And so I'm going to recommend the Q&A panel, which is the button with the question mark. The first question we had was, what version of Forms is this? So for the Summit application. And Khalid, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 6i?
It is a 6i version of this Summit application, but we can go as far as back as version 3, and then forward we can go version 9i and 10g for conversion. For version 3, obviously there is a two-step process because version 3 is a character-based, so you have to move to version 6i, and then we do it for you, that piece, and then you can convert into Java.
Great. Okay, the next question, let me scroll up, they're coming in fast. Here it is. How is custom PLL and forms personalizations and other shared objects handled in conversion?
Can you repeat, Matt, again?
Sure. How is
Matt, one thing, like Martin has to give you the presentation authority. I do not have that with me.
Yeah, that's fine. And actually, I don't think we should turn that over yet in case you have something to go to.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. So can you please repeat
Sure.
the question again, please?
How is custom PLL and forms personalizations and other shared objects handled in conversion?
Like PLLs, again, like the PLLs are libraries as I showed to you in the Summit application. Like if you see my screen again, what we did is we converted the libraries. These are the two libraries, And any calls from these libraries in your form would be handled the same way in after the conversion. Basically, if you are using a library called ABC in the form, then we create the link from that library to the Java converted code of the form, and then it goes from there. For sharing other components, for example, if you are using a reference form or something like that, the Java code can be shared through normal processes, like you can have one place and then share it. For presentation layer, we created the CSS file that you can use for your presentation layer, like visual attribute and other things.
Great. The next question, can the logging level of the conversion be adjusted? There wasn't much detail there.
Logging?
Logging.
Logging?
Logging, yes.
Like when I was saying logging, for remember, if I go in my conversion tool, the log folder, if you see, like this is what I was saying, that it will be creating like the log file for each day, and like I don't know what needs to be changed in the log file or something like that, other than what we are doing. Like we are creating a comprehensive list of every day, and for example, if I go on 16, then I would know like exactly this is an HTML. So as I said, for due diligence purposes going forward, if you want to come back and say what you run on the 16th of August, you can just double click that log file and see all the processes that you run on the 16th of August. And then you will see what forms you converted on that day, what warning you received, and what forms gave the errors and other things. So we have created HTML files for logging and going for that. So customizing, like if there are more details that can be provided, what exactly you need to customize in log file, that would be appreciated.
All right. Next question, can we convert it to Sun.jsf? If so, what version of Sun.jsf, like 1.1 or 1.2? So the short answer is the automated conversion with the tool doesn't automatically convert it into JSF. The closest that we do for that of our presentation options is the ADF, where it's using Oracle ADF components, which are based on JSF objects. But the reason we went with the ADF components instead of just pure JSF is that when you look at an Oracle Forms application, when you look at those objects, there's a lot more properties to those objects than what you would see on generic JSF objects. And so what Oracle did with the ADF objects is they basically took generic JSF objects and then enhanced them so that they would have all the properties that you would expect from the objects in Oracle Forms applications. And that's why we were able to even do the ADF piece. So we don't have that where it automatically goes to JSF. Now that being said, if you wanted to build a pure JSF presentation layer, if you were so inclined and had the Java expertise, certainly you could do that. What you'll see with our conversion, and Khalid alluded to this towards the end of the demo, is you get all of the Java code that's converted with this tool. Whether you purchase the tool or whether you would use us as a service for the conversion, we provide all of the Java source, including that framework, if you will, that recreates all that underlying Oracle Forms framework functionality, the lower level constructs like the message handling and the firing of the triggers and all of that. We provide all of that source code at no additional cost. That's included as part of the tool when you license it, or as part of the conversion. So you could, if you wanted to modernize this into a JSF front end, do that on your own. And we provide documentation with all the integration API points, if you will, into all of this Java code that we're providing. That being said, keep in mind, as I said from our experience, is that you're going to have to do some behind-the-scenes Java coding to recreate a like-for-like with JSF objects. So if a like-for-like isn't as important to you for the front end, then that's something that you could do post-conversion. All right, next question. Let's see if here we go. If you don't intend to convert all modules at one time, can you add to a previously generated WAR file?
Yes, that's exactly what I mentioned. Like the template is just like if you convert one library, like in this case, if this submit application would have like 5 more libraries and 10 more forms, I would have converted only I have converted only 3 forms and 2 libraries and created the WAR file. Once the WAR file is there, basically the conversion tool setup is there. Like for example, what I was saying is this conversion tool output folder is already there basically. So if you are converting more, it is putting all those things in here, and then at the end you can create a new WAR file with more forms and more libraries there. Or what you can do is once you deploy, like in this case the deployment is right here for submit application. Basically we have a way to tell you, okay, where to add more code. Like for example, this is your source code that I was showing in JDeveloper. So if you have converted one more library, then you can move from conversion tool to this library basically. So I have 2 ways. You can add in the deployed version, or you can convert and then create a new WAR file and deploy that new WAR file.
Great. Next question. If we need a demo for our company, is there an email, ID, phone number, and contact person who we can contact? Yes, there is. We actually have representatives in different territories across the world. The question that this is coming from is North America, and so I'll be your follow-up contact. And I have your email address, so I can follow up with you. But just so you know, it's Matt Brunquell. And again, I'll send you an email with my contact information. We're more than happy to set up follow-up demos for you. Also, if you have a project, and this is something that is of real interest to you, besides doing a follow-up demo, we also can offer sample conversion of one form for you. So you can actually, and we would review your converted code with you. But I can follow up with you on that. Next question, how about Oracle reports conversion and calls to reports from forms? We get this question a lot. There is no automated conversion of the Oracle reports. And so our customers do one of 2 things. And there isn't any automated conversion of reports out there, reporting solution out there anywhere that I've heard of yet in the market. But we do one of 2 things. First of all, a lot of our customers will continue to call their Oracle reports from the converted Java code, and that can be done. And Khalid can add to that, but that's something a lot of customers will do is for at least the initial phase of the conversion. And then the other alternative is that the reports be rewritten in whatever reporting solution or standard you have within your organization moving forward. I will tell you this, there is in the Oracle world, Oracle's reporting solution for the web and kind of moving forward is BI. And they actually have some tools that help with the conversion, but it's not an automated conversion. We actually, one of our customers, we did some work for them with those conversion utilities, and certainly it helps, but if your reports have any triggers or substantial business logic in them, that's going to have to be rewritten, regardless of which reporting solution you go to. All right, next question. Is there any other frameworks that you support, like struts? And actually, I have an architecture slide that I'll send you. This is from the same person requesting the demo for their organization. The framework that we use on the front end is in the plug-in scenario in a browser that I mentioned is Swing. Is that right? Is that the right way to say it, Khalid? Or maybe I should let you answer that question.
That is correct. Basically, like again, at this time we are only supporting two frameworks, as I said, like or Matt also said, is Swing, which is we call plugin XML version, or ADF, which we call JSF ADF version, and again. ADF using JSF component on top of its own Oracle ADF component. The struts, again, like there are questions we have been asked what we can do for other frameworks. Again, as Matt mentioned, like I don't think we have any plan to go to struts at this time, but we provide the source code for CipherSoft Composer, and then we can guide you through how the presentation layer, where the presentation layer can be manipulated and converted and all those things. And then if you want to, you can customize the tool to create a struts and then use in your runtime basically, or customize runtime. But I don't think we have any plan in near future to support struts or any other framework as a front end.
Correct. Next question. At runtime, when using the converted application, is the database access happening from the applet or from the server?
From the server. Basically, all the calls are going, like the front end only is a small footprint on the client side. It is even actually, I think, less than half a meg or something like that. That is just to do a few things or few validation, not anything that nothing is firing. Like if you are saying commit, for example, then there is a key commit trigger on your in your application. Then that key commit is deployed on the application server. So we just send a request to the server to run that key commit trigger on that particular item or at the form level or block level, and then that application server on its own goes and then talk to the database and does the commit and all those things and come back with the request back to the client saying, okay, the commit is done successfully or there was any problem. If it is done successfully, how many records were committed?
Yeah.
So it is the same like the way in your 10G forms or 11G forms or even 6i web application form, when you are deploying on 3-tier environment, the forms run the same way. Like the request goes to the application server, and application server has the authority to talk to the database server. In 3-tier environment, the clients have nothing to do directly with the database. That's the security bridge if we will have that present.
Yeah, I think we've answered it comprehensively, but when we'll get our administrator to turn the presentation control back over to me, I can bring up an architecture slide for you. But we are following, it is a J2EE application, the converted application in architecture that's deployed. So it's following model view controller standards. Here, thank you, Martin. Martin is our administrator, by the way. We have to thank him for running this so smoothly for us and handling our requests on the fly here as we bring them up. But there you can see, I'll bring this up as you guys can look at this as we go through the questions. Okay, let me go back to the Q&A while you look at that. Here's the next question. I saw there's SQL in the UI Java code. That's not ideal architecturally. Do I have to be concerned about SQL injection attacks on generated code?
Like again, that's something that we can get more details on from our development team. But as far as I know, the reason we did was to mimic the Oracle Forms environment and to do the same functionality that Oracle Forms. So when the logic has a SQL select statement or update statement, we are introducing that there. Again, it's questionable, and I don't want to say debatable, that there are different ways of doing the same thing through like beans or something like that. But at this time, we are doing this process that way. But if you need more detail why exactly we are doing, then if you don't mind sending an email, we can reply back to you.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with them. We can always set up a call with our expert on that. But certainly, we've done a lot of these, and that hasn't been an issue. So we're following standard practices and procedures with the Java. Next question: do you want to give a ballpark of license cost, both for us converting as a service or the customer, licensing the tool. So I'll follow up with you on that, but just to give everybody the general idea of the pricing, more than happy to do that. When we do it as a service, it's a fixed price bid, and we actually have an analyzer, and we'll run your forms, your FMB files, and the associated libraries through the analyzer, and we'll take that output, and we'll put together, from that we can give you a very detailed estimate in terms of the cost and the time for us to do the whole conversion. And we'll specify exactly, here are the things we do, here's the things we won't do as part of that conversion. And for that whole picture, we're doing everything but the acceptance testing, the end user testing, because we don't know your application. And then from there, you can decide, well, we'll do more. There can be more of that process you may want to do. Thinking back to that process slide I showed you on the 7 high-level steps, there may be more of that you want to do to cut down the costs. Licensing the tool it's the way it's priced is per form for the license. You may have multiple developers doing conversions, but that doesn't matter. It's just the number of forms. So if you have 100 forms to convert, it's priced per form, and we offer training to train you on using the tool, as well as going through that conversion process. It's a 5-day training course, and that's more than enough to make you proficient in using the tool and working on the conversion. In fact, often we're really working with 1 or 2 of your forms as part of the training. And we can do that on site at your site. And we do offer, if you have a very large number of forms, we have some customers with very large projects, we do offer an enterprise license, which makes sense if you're looking at more than 800 forms that you're going to convert. And then I'll follow up for those of you that are interested on a one-on-one call for specifics on what's the pricing per form. Typically, I shouldn't say typically, every case I've seen so far, licensing the tool is the cheaper way to go if cost is a concern, because in the fixed price bid, well, it's a fixed price bid, number one, so there's no risk for you there. But also we're doing more than just the conversion. We're doing the unit testing, preparing it for testing by your group before you release it to your end users for QA testing, and all the back and forth of that. Okay, we still got more questions. We still have quite a few people on, so we'll answer. We'll see if we can get through the rest of these. There's just a couple left. When generating the application to use ADF, does the application still have dependencies on the CipherSoft jar files?
Yes, it does. Basically, as I mentioned, like the business logic servlet, to run the business logic, converted business logic, we need a servlet, and that servlet is same for plugin as well as for ADF. The only addition for ADF is that other than for CipherSoft jar file, you also have to depend on Oracle ADF jar files. On a plugin, you don't have to do that, but for ADF, you have to. So for ADF, you have to depend on CipherSoft as well as Oracle ADF. But for CipherSoft, as we have been mentioning, that you will be getting the source code. So if you want to customize that for your own purposes, that would be welcome.
Yeah, and we provide the documentation for all of that, so you can do it, and the APIs for it. Next question: where is the configuration for the database?
The configuration for the database is on the application server, and we defined how the database connection would work, and what is the database, where it is, and you can define we have a configuration file that is similar to what TSN names file in Oracle form is, like where you can define all the database TNS entries. Like if you have a test, development, or production database, you can define all these 3 entries. And when you are logging into the application, then basically you can define which database to connect to. So that's where the configuration is defined on the application server, not on the client side at all.
Okay, how is user authentication handled? Does everyone using the form have to connect as the same user?
I think it is the same, it's from the same person. So I know like these database configuration and this question related together, but I didn't want to jump to the next question when I was answering the previous one. Anyway, so database connection can handle, at this time, there are two ways to handle. The one that we use by default is that each user will have its own username and password on the database. So when they log in, the authentication is done on the database, and if they are the valid user on the database, then they are allowed to go into the application. Otherwise, they would get the same error message, invalid username password. And the second way is again there is a configuration file in our product that you can use in a way that all the authentication of username and password are done on the application server level, and then from application server there is only one user connecting to the database, or several depending upon if you are doing a balancing or something like that. But the users are not going directly to the database. All requests are going to application server, and application server is making the connection back to the database, which is normally how the 3-tier works. But most of the users still want to go with the first way, which is connecting or authenticating on the database directly. And for the biggest reason to do that is that most of the Oracle form application have an audit trail tables, where like when you do an update or select or insert, then normally it updates the username in the table. So if you are connecting with one user back to the database, then obviously audit trail will fail there. You might have to come up with different mechanism or logic before you can use that mechanism.
Great. Excellent, excellent. For a typical conversion, what is the percentage of manual work based on your past experiences? Well, I don't know if you can say a typical conversion or not. Each one is, because these are all custom apps. But what we generally see, I guess a general rule of thumb is, I would say 85% is conversion, 15% is manual work. Would you agree with that, Khalid? Or I guess you're the
again, like I agree. Like as a general rule of thumb, you can say that. But again, as you said, like it depends on application to application. Like if you are using something that has already been covered, like if you are not using go-to statement, there is a simple example. If you are not using go-to statement, then your conversion can be more automatic than manual. But if you are using go-to statement in each form in every places, even though if you are only using a form which is like 300 lines of code of pure SQL, and in that 300 lines of code there are 20 go-to statement, obviously that form will take more time manually to adjust go-to statement than a form which is 50,000 lines of code not using go-to statement.
Yeah.
So it doesn't depend mostly on form size or lines of code. It depends on what you are using in the form that might cause the problem, like going forward.
All right. Is the licensing for the ongoing use of the CipherSoft jar files a one-time fee or a recurring charge? It's a one-time fee. There's no recurring charge. And just to clarify as well, we don't charge a price for the jar files, if you will. It's really, we charge a price for the conversion tool. It includes those jar files. So we made a decision a long time ago that if this is going to convert to Java, then the Java source has to be included and provided for everything to run this application, so that you're independent of us, or not dependent on us after conversion. And so once you buy the tool and you start converting, you're clear and free. I mean, you have all the Java source code to it. Or if we're doing it as a service, we're delivering all that Java source code to you. There is no additional cost after that. You're just purchasing the tool or the service for the conversion, and that's it. If if you're doing the licensing of the tool, the additional cost would be the training, the 5-day training I mentioned. And then there is a 1-year support fee that we charge as well. That includes technical support as well as maintenance on the conversion tool and those jar files. Now, if somebody wanted to, they could continue year after year to purchase maintenance even after they were done with the conversion project. And the reason they might want to do that is if they want access to the updates that we do to those CipherSoft jar files on an ongoing basis. But certainly there's no requirement to that. You don't have to do that. All right. Price per form or per module? If my intention is only to only convert PLLs, is it free? No, this is pretty good IP we have here, so certainly we're not going to give it to you for free. But the tool for conversion is priced per form. If you're only looking to convert PLLs, I'd like to talk to you about that in more detail. Certainly, we have priced some PL SQL conversions out separately, but we'd have to talk about that in more detail. But the price is per form to be converted, and that price per form includes any PLLs associated with those forms. So, as an example, if you had 100 forms to convert, and associated with those 100 forms was 17 libraries or PLLs, the tool would be priced at 100 forms, and that would include the conversion of those libraries. Question: from what you're describing about the database connection, is database connection pooling used?
The database connection pooling is used if you go with the other option I was describing. That is, if your authentication is done on the application server and application server is going to the database. When you are going directly, your user is connecting or authenticating on the database. Again, the pooling or balancing can be done on the administrative side. Application has nothing to do with that.
All right. Next question: how are the PL SQL stored procedure calls handled?
They are handled exactly the same way as handled in Oracle Forms. Basically, like you have to keep your PL SQL in data. Not you have to actually. If you are keeping your PL SQL in database and converting only Oracle Forms in Java, then when we hit a line which is a database call, either function or procedure or database package, then we create the proper instructions for it to go to the database and then go from there. And I think I might have something in the current Summit application. Again, like once, as I said, like if you have an NDA or you might have to sign NDA, I don't know, but you can get this converted code Summit application with you, and then there is a call where you can see how the database call is done and what lines of Java are created for that purposes.
Great. Yeah, and you do have a choice with the tool. There is a way to say, hey, convert the stored procedure packets in the database to Java. And if you were looking to move away from the Oracle database or looking to create like a data abstraction layer, if you will, in Java, you can do that. What we see a lot of people we see though are staying on Oracle as a database. We recommend you leave those in there because that's where you're going to see the best performance. But you have the option with this tool to turn on the button and it'll convert those from the database as well. Okay. Any other known limitations like the go-to statement? So I'm going to rephrase the question a little bit. Are there other Oracle commands, if you will, or statements that aren't converted like go-tos that require some post-conversion effort? Is probably the more, just to clarify that question. And there are a few. I don't know, Khalid, if you want to give some example. I always think of the ones from the older conversions that I've seen from older things
like for example,
bell
some
commands,
of the.
timer
Go ahead,
command.
Matt. You finish, and I will do that.
Yeah, like bell and timer. But you go ahead, Khalid. You're the implementation guy.
Like basically what I would say is that apart from GoTo, there are again some limitation of moving to 3-tier, for example, like OCX and VBX are one of the limitations that you would not be able to take it as is from Oracle form and then use it in Java. You have to manually look what those VBX were doing or move them to database and call them from there through Java. And then other limitations are through JDBCs. Like for example, in Oracle form you are using SQLnet, but when you move to Java application you are using JDBC. So when you are doing SQLnet, you can call a function that is returning a Boolean back, but for JDBC that has a limitation of a return type Boolean basically from the database. So for that purpose, you might have to create a wrapper class that will be returning like a character string back to the function. So there are limitations of the other application, third-party application or JDBCs. But internally, we have tried our best to cover all the things that we can do it in Java. We have done those things.
Great. The other thing I would add to that is our analyzer will flag those things up front. So, we do that. We have to in order to do estimates when we do it as a service. But you get the analyzer when you buy the tool, so you can see exactly what are those things that you need to make some decisions on prior to the conversion project. So you know what effort's going to be involved. All right, last question I have here. What dependencies do the CipherSoft runtime jar files have? I'm concerned about maintaining the CipherSoft code and its dependencies through JVM upgrades in the future. Well, I'm going to let Khalid answer this more fully, but I guess I would say that there is no dependencies, if you will. You get that source code, and so you can choose to do with it what you want. If you wanted to replace it after the conversion, you can do that, or if you want to modify it, again, we provide the documentation on all of it. Or, if you want to continue on maintenance, we continue to maintain those libraries as well, because we have many customers that use it. And when you look at it that way, it comes down to, hey, it's Java code. So what are you better off with? At the end of the day, if you convert this with us, we've got all this stuff in there that automates it, and you get all the source code. How is that different if you did all that low-level coding and rewrote it yourself? It's the same thing that you're going through in terms of keeping it up for JVM upgrades. So, are you maintaining Java code from one developer that's for a customer of one, or are you maintaining Java code that you have all the rights and source to from, that many customers use and is maintained by a company where that's their business and focus? So something to think about at a business level for that. But and Khalid, I don't know, you probably should add to this from a technical standpoint, but it's, you get all that Java generated code, so, and you get the documentation to it, and we've had to document it and maintain it for many customers.
Yeah, the only limitation I'm seeing basically at this time with JVM and overcode, we have certified overcode for 1.5, Java EE5 version. And then we have, in last 3 years, we have moved, or 4 years, we have moved from 1.3 to 1.4 to 1.5. So if you are using a JVM that is still has a 1.4, and then the code that is compiled on the servlet is 1.5, obviously that would have a problem anyway. So you have to upgrade that JVM to the latest version. But if you are using the 1.6 JVM, then it should not have any problem, basically. Again, these are a little bit more technical on Java side. Then I would be exactly answering, and I don't know what I'm answering is what you are looking for as an answer. But if not, then I would appreciate that if you send us an email or send Matt an email, we can get the answers back from the product perspective as well as on Java perspective from our Java developers and then product developers.
Well, and just to add to that too, I mean, you saw what you heard in his response. I mean, this has come up from from JDK 1.3 to 1.4 to 1.5. We're already looking at 6. I mean, it's something that's being maintained and carried forward. But again, you get all the source code and documentation to it. You can maintain and carry it forward as well if you want. You're really getting the best of both worlds. You get the choice at no additional cost. Another question here. We use context to store and retrieve values in the database. Does the converted application maintain the database connection during its session, or is it a stateless connection? I don't know, Khalid, if you can answer that, or if that's something we need George.
No, actually I cannot. So I have to refer back to our product team, and then if you know the name of the person who's asking, maybe we can reply that back later.
Sure. In fact, I'm sure Martin will save the Q&A session file from this, so it'll show who asked what question and when. So I think we should be able to answer that. But I know this reminds me a little bit of modal versus modeless. I don't know if that's the same thing or not, because I've seen that come up before. Like forms and dialog boxes are either modal or they're modeless, and a modal form or dialog box has to be closed or hidden before you can continue working with the rest of the app. So we support modeless forms, but I don't know if this is to his question or not. So we'll have to follow up with him and probably involve George. So, but that in general is a challenge of supporting modal when moving from a client-server environment to a web-based environment. So, anyway, all right, we'll follow up with you on that one. All right, and then from that same guy who keeps going on the framework, no dependencies, so you don't use a standard logging framework like Log4j or Apache Commons logging. We probably just need to do a follow-up session with him and George.
Exactly.
So, and see whether or not we can address his concerns. All right, well, those are all the questions. We want to thank you for participating today. We hope you found it valuable. And when you exit out, please take a second and let us know what you thought. A little survey comes up. Let us know if there's certain topics you'd like to see next. We try and do these about twice every 3 months, so a little more than every other month. So if there's certain topics you'd like to see more on, let us know. And we'll have a recording available of this on our website probably by tomorrow. And the website is cyphersoftinc.com. And we'll follow up with you in case you have any other questions. But again, Khalid and I and Martin want to thank you for participating, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.